carnal, dice mi gente, la raza está abajo y tú estás indiferente. Prefieres cerrar los ojos, no vi nada. Estabas ocupado por andar en la tomada. Te gusta tirar el cruising todo el día, buscando a las mujeres como si el mundo acabaría. Pero no sabías que tú podías continuar tu educación para superarte en la vida. Hermano joven, levanta tu frente y siente el orgullo de ser un descendiente de los aztecas, los incas y los mayas. Ayúdame a pelear y vencer.
Soy del país que no se raja, papá, del mariachi y la baraja, que trabaja y no se cuaja ni por una paga baja. De esa tierra soy, donde crecen los nopales, donde millones de madres parieron a mis carnales, a mi gente pues, la de piel color canela, la que viste de guarache, de sombrero y de franela, la que canta, la que celebra la muerte, la que se rompe su madre con aquel que le haga frente. Soy de aquí, la tierra del maíz y del mezcal, del café no ya de barro y de la tortilla con sal, de la solidaridad, de la causa que lo merezca, donde un taquito hermano no falta quien te lo ofrezca. De esa tierra, la del trueque y la cocoa, donde por los cielos vuela glorioso mi Quetzalcóatl. Tierra santa, donde el oro no deslumbra, donde no todo se compra y la carencia no te espanta. Y es que dime cómo no quieres que ame tanto esta tierra, si aquí nacieron mis hijos y aquí me ha criado la abuela, aquí gastó mis suelas desde que soy un enano. Es mi orgullo, mi paisano, haber nacido mexicano, y hasta el día en que yo me muera, bendita será mi tierra, es mi hogar. Feliz de ver ondear esta bandera, feliz de haber nacido donde los mariachis tocan. Salucita, momento en el que nuestros vasos chocan.
The high number of migrants we have encountered at our southern border is a challenge that is not unique to the United States. Countries throughout our hemisphere, in fact, throughout the world, are experiencing an unprecedented number of displaced people fleeing poverty, authoritarian regimes, homes destroyed by extreme weather events, corruption, and violence. The regional challenges require regional solutions, and that is why Secretary of State Blinken and I, with the White House Homeland Security Advisor Sherwood Randall, were in Mexico 2 weeks ago, why I spoke with Panama's Minister of Security last week, and why, among other engagements in the region, I will be traveling to Central America in the coming weeks, as I have throughout the past 3 years. We are grateful for Mexico's renewed enforcement commitments to address the movement of people north. We are working with other countries throughout Latin America, including Panama, to address the movement of people throughout the hemisphere. We continue to develop lawful pathways, deliver consequences for those who do not use them, address root causes, and attack the ruthless smuggling organizations that prey on the vulnerable. Some have accused DHS of not enforcing our nation's laws. This could not be further from the truth. Having begun my public service career as a federal prosecutor for 12 years, ultimately serving as the United States Attorney, there is nothing I take more seriously than our responsibility to uphold the law. And the men and women of DHS are working around the clock to do so. The individuals who have been returned to their countries of origin certainly know this. After the ending of Title 42 in May of this year, through the end of the fiscal year, DHS removed or returned more non-citizens without a basis to remain in the United States than in any other 5-month period in the last 10 years. In fact, the majority of all migrants encountered at the southwest border throughout this administration have been removed, returned, or expelled, a majority of them. We are doing everything we can within a broken system to incentivize non-citizens to use lawful pathways, to impose consequences on those who do not, and to reduce irregular migration. We will continue to do everything we can, and we will continue to enforce the law. But we need Congress to make the legislative changes and provide the funding that our frontline officers so desperately need. What is remarkable is that through it all, The brave men and women of U.S. Customs and Border Protection and their partners in the Department of Homeland Security have and will continue to put on their uniforms, don their badges, and work at great risk to themselves in the service of their mission to keep us and our country safe and secure. I am proud to be here to recognize, commend, and thank them and their families for their service and their sacrifice. But they need and deserve more than just recognition. They need and deserve the support and resources only Congress can provide.
Mr. Secretary, you have mentioned a bunch of things that the administration is trying to do, but a new poll shows that 75% of the American people aren't getting it. What can you do message-wise to convince the American people that what's going on with immigration, as far as the administration is concerned, is in America's best interest?
So it is opportunities like this that I will use to communicate the facts to the American people. As we all know all too well, the issue of immigration is an issue that is highly politicized, and it is very important that the American public understand the facts, the extraordinary dedication of the Department of Homeland Security's personnel. All this administration has done, and it's very important that they understand that the challenge that we are experiencing is a challenge that is a function of a number of factors. Number one, what we are experiencing at the southern border is not unique to the southern border or to the United States. The entire hemisphere is gripped with a level of migration that is unprecedented in recent history. In fact, it is something that is gripping the entire world. Number two, we are dealing with fundamentally a broken immigration system, and one that has been in dire need of repair for more than 3 decades. But within the constraints of a broken immigration system, at a time when the world, and this hemisphere in particular, is experiencing an unprecedented level of displaced people, we are creating creative solutions to a significant problem that is not unique to us. The senators, the Republican and Democratic senators that I've been privileged to be at the table with, along with my colleagues from the White House, have been working tirelessly to reach a framework, to reach a legislative solution that both the Senate and the House can pass, and that can transform the manner in which we address the challenges of migration that are so very different than they were 10, 20, and 30 years ago. Our system has not been updated for decades, and yet the landscape of migration is so dynamic and so much different than it was years ago.
Mr. Secretary, over here, I'm sorry. Most of the migrants that we spoke to, specifically in December, they come with no address to go to, and they're coming because they're being released. What are the consequences that are going to be taken with these migrants that are being released, and especially the ones that are coming because they see that it's easy to get here?
Well, first of all, I would take issue with your characterization that it is easy to get to the United States. I think we all know very well the perilous journey that migrants take in the hands of ruthless smugglers who don't care about their well-being. They care only about making a profit. That perilous journey has been reported and has been shared with us as Border Patrol agents interview migrants. It is very important to understand that when an individual is released, they are released into immigration enforcement proceedings where they can make a claim under the laws that Congress has passed. And if their claim does not succeed, they are removed and they are subject to a 5-year ban on admission. We have returned, removed, or expelled an extraordinary number of individuals, and we will continue to do so as we enforce the laws.
Based on the talks with the Mexican president, do you believe that we're going
believe that when we work in partnership with countries to the south, with Mexico, with Panama, with Costa Rica, with Colombia, with Ecuador, with all of the countries, we will have a significant impact on the number of encounters that we experience at our southern border. And it is too early to tell whether the significant drop in the number of encounters we have experienced over the past week is a function of the season, the holiday season, or whether it is a function of the fact that the Mexican authorities have resumed their enforcement operations, and it very well may be a combination of both. It is too early to tell, but we're watching it very carefully. We remain vigilant, and we are tremendously proud of the ceaseless work of U.S. Customs and Border Protection.
Nilsi Antonio Díaz con su programa de Mestizo Experience. Estamos ya en el año 2024. Así como lo ven. No es increíble, pero ya estamos empezando un año nuevo, estamos en enero y hago mis programas una vez por mes. Cada mes ya tengo desde 1995. El próximo año cumplimos 30 años en el aire. We are in the month of January 2024, and I was saying it's almost unbelievable, but here we are, 2024, and we've had a long run. We're in our 29th year. Next year, in 2025, of October, or no, it was before that, in May, I believe, we will be having our anniversary, and we'll be here 30 years. To get down to it, talking about anniversaries and time passing by, we have the problem of I would say immigration, but not so much immigration as I would guess say occupation, invasion, colonization, and living with colonialism on our own land, because we have people that are coming from Centro and Sur and Mexico, which is North America too, right? A lot of people think, well, Mexico is south of the border. No, it's just across the river, but it's still in North America. Then you get more past Guatemala and Costa Rica and all that, and you get into South America. But we have a lot of people coming up every year. We had a lot of people coming up. I think they're just trying to beat. They're trying to beat the changes that are coming up on immigration legislation and immigration law, and plus the laws that the governor here of Texas, of this state, has been imposing and is getting harsher and harsher. So all these people are trying to beat all this anti-immigration legislation and get into the United States before that. Right now, you still have the catch and release program that is in place, but the Republicans want to do away with it. They want to shut the borders down, at least the southern borders, not the borders into Canada, of course, but the borders here, because they've been trying to get rid of us since they invaded our space, right? You're talking about since the early 19th century when they moved over here, because before that, during the 17th century, they were on the East Coast still trying to kill all the native people there. But they made their way and bought the Louisiana Purchase from Napoleon, who never even set foot over here, but somehow he claimed the land all the way up to Canada. And so we're talking about that's why there's French in Canada as well, right? They split up. See, all this history that some of us know, but not all of us know, especially not a lot of our Anglo brethren that want to claim the United States as their homeland, yet their ancestry is not from here. Ours is, but yet we've been displaced, and we continue to be displaced, and then become some criminal for trying to migrate back up north. That is the situation as far as I see it, and if you were to know history, you would agree with me. But if you don't know history, and you're a nationalist, and you're Anglo, and been trying to get rid of us for over 175 years, then you would disagree with me very, very violently, right? Anyway, we have we had Mr. Mayorkas, who is in charge of immigration right now from Homeland Security, who he himself will tell you he used to be a U.S. Attorney. So he's supposedly very, very strict on laws. He wants to follow laws, but he says there's no laws in place. He's following the laws that are in place right now. See, so he's not so much that he's lenient. It's just that he is into obeying the law. So the law right now is catch and release. So that's what he's saying was causing the problem, and that immigration legislation needs to be repaired, fixed. And I say, yeah, it should be repaired to the point that native or indigenous people get that recognition instead of being nationalized by whomever, either Portuguese, Spain, or whatever, colonized their land. And where the United States colonized all the way up to California and Texas and Arizona, which all these didn't exist, right? These are names that were applied later. It was New Spain, then it was just territory, and then it was became states by the United States. This is history that is not taught, that should be taught. So our children will actually be educated. So when they become elected officials, they could make wise decisions instead of making very ignorant and just racist, nationalistic decisions. But that is where we're caught at right now in the crosshairs. The people are. It's a poor people's march. If you've seen any, I need to make a poster, a banner of it, donde dice Marcha de Pobreza. People in the 1960s, there was a poor people's march onto Washington by the African American community, led by them, by Martin Luther King, Reverend Abernathy, and most of those civil rights advocates at that time. We don't have anyone advocating for human rights for the people crossing. They're not all indigenous. You have supposedly over 150 nations that are that have incorporated themselves into this march of thousands of people that are coming, or they came in December, but are right now in Mexico. So that's the situation, and they're trying to get away from a lot of the things they're trying to get away from are situations that the United States causes, right? Because the United States is what implements laws against them. Like in Venezuela and Cuba, you still have embargoes against them, where they can't buy or can't trade or can't, and those are caused by the United States. So if the economy is bad there and they're living in poverty and can't get essentials, it's due to this government's legislations, okay? And the wars and the crime and all that. So, les estoy hablando de lo que Mallorca, el que fue para México y estuvo ahí hablando sobre las leyes de migración, porque viene tanta gente que ha venido y todavía está viniendo desde el mes de diciembre. Querían llegar aquí antes de que hagan los cambios aquí los Estados Unidos del Norte, el gobierno, y se ponga más en contra de migración, ¿verdad? Las leyes. Y por eso digo, ahorita las leyes que están ahorita en lugar son de que pueden cruzar, los pescan, y si encuentran una razón de que tengan para quedarse, los dejan. No los encarcelan y no los mandan fuera. Luego hay un programa que se llama Catch and Release, ¿verdad? Ya han habido unos cambios en las leyes migratorias de los Estados Unidos y van a haber más, ¿verdad? Es lo que están ahorita peleando el Congreso. Por eso querían parar todo, frenar todo el capitalismo aquí en los Estados Unidos, que no querían aprobar que se hagan los pagos para el gobierno ni nada, porque los republicanos, y le estoy diciendo ahorita, están las elecciones aquí ahorita. Yo no soy demócrata, soy del Partido Verde, pero yo mejor apoyo a los demócratas mucho más, 100%, que voy a votar por ningún republicano. Estos republicanos son racistas, y si hay oficiales que son como Mallorcas, que tienen raíces así, que se llaman ellos latinos o hispanos, no son indígenas, pero ellos mismos deben de estar en contra de estas legislaciones, de lugar de estar ahí tratando de implementarlas en contra de la gente que viene cruzando, que son de más de 150 nacionalidades, pero hay mucha gente indígena. La gente indígena tiene el derecho humano de cruzar esas fronteras. Esto lo ha reconocido el UNO y es lo que debe ser la ley, debe ser universal, internacional, no nomás aquí de un gobierno a otro, aquí en el mismo país, en esta Samanahuac. Esta es una tierra de nuestros ancestros. Tenemos el derecho de migrar. En el año 2024 todavía están estas leyes racistas que empezaron en el siglo XV, cuando invadió España a nuestra tierra. Sigue viendo este programa. Ahí tengo una música, el discurso de Mallorca, Tlazocamati, Tosticate.
Soy del país que no se raja, papá, del mariachi y la baraja, que trabaja y no se cuaja ni por una paga baja. De esa tierra soy, donde crecen los nopales, donde millones de madres parieron a mis carnales, a mi gente pues. La de piel color canela, la que viste de guarache, de sombrero y de franela, la que canta, la que celebra la muerte, la que se rompe su madre con aquel que le haga frente. Soy de aquí, la tierra del maíz y del mezcal, del café no ya de barro y de la tortilla con sal, de la solidaridad, de la causa que lo merezca, donde un taquito hermano no falta quien te lo ofrezca. De esa tierra, la del trueque y la cocoa, donde por los cielos vuela glorioso mi Quetzalcóatl. Tierra santa, donde el oro no deslumbra, donde no todo se compra y la carencia no te espanta. Y es que dime cómo no quieres que ame tanto esta tierra, si aquí nacieron mis hijos y aquí me ha criado la abuela, aquí gastó mis suelas desde que soy un enano. Es mi orgullo mi paisano haber nacido mexicano, y hasta el día en que yo me muera bendita será mi tierra, es mi hogar. Feliz de ver ondear esta bandera, feliz de haber nacido donde los mariachis tocan. Salucita, momento en el que nuestros vasos chocan.
¿Qué onda, carnal? Dice mi gente, la raza está abajo y tú estás indiferente. Prefieres cerrar los ojos, no vi nada. Estabas ocupado por andar en la tomada. Te gusta tirar el cruising todo el día, buscando a las mujeres como si el mundo acabaría. Pero no sabías que tú podías continuar tu educación para superarte en la vida. Hermano joven, levanta tu frente y siente el orgullo de ser un descendiente de los aztecas, los incas y los mayas. Ayúdame a pelear y vencer.